What's up everyone, it's a failed one. Now let's continue some more Lamento. Last time we found this village full of dark-skinned cats. They're all really hot, well at least this guy was hot, the one that we see on the screen. He was really hot, the girl was hot, the old man was old. So let's continue. After a few minutes, the hut's door opened. The black cat that led Konoe into the village came in. The elder beckoned him. The black cat stopped forward, expressionless. Even expressionless.
俺は名をアサトという。夜が明けるまで主の面倒を見させよう。
And now we finally have a name for the hot one. So, Asato. The cat called Asato looked at Konoe. The eyes that watched him were dark blue, like the night sky at dusk. He was probably a year or two older than Konoe, but Konoe felt an immature air about him, as if he were a child still developing. He noticed the elder watching Asato closely. His eyes shone with an aversive light, as if he were watching something disgusting. He hadn't looked at Konoe like that. He thought that maybe something had happened. Why would you look at us like this? As ordered by the elder, Asato led Konoe out of the hut. Konoe felt the other village cats watching with hatred and curiosity as they passed, but it seemed like those gazes were cast not just at him, but also at Asato. So is he hated too? Is he also an outcast? In which case we can be an outcast together? He looked at the back and black tail walking in front of him. Asato didn't seem concerned and only walked in silence. Well, I mean, if he's pretty much used to this. There was conflict between the cats of any village. It was that way in Karo too. Of course, Konoe wasn't one to be too worried about it, but for some reason it made him uneasy. Asato's home was on the outskirts of the village. It was the same as the others, a simple house made of wood and stone. When Konoe entered it, his impression didn't change. Very simple. When Asato entered the house, he immediately picked up something like a twig from a shelf. Ignition branch. A branch with crushed ore powder on its tip. So I guess this would be the second way to light up a house. Or have light. When Asato struck the ignition branch against the wall, its tip caught fire. So it's like a candle? He put the flame into a lamp hanging beside the door. So it is like a candle or like a match. And let there be light. An orange light spread through the room. Konoe, who hated fire, avoided the lamp and moved to the opposite wall. That would explain why he used a guiding light instead of using an actual lamp. And here I thought they didn't have lamps. Since it was their first time meeting, he couldn't just ask him to put out the fire simply because he didn't like it. It would also make him look weak. Asato sat against the wall. He gestured a hand in front of him when he saw Konoe still standing. He was probably gesturing for him to sit. Konoe took off his drawstring bag, which he carried on his back, and sat down where Asato indicated. He tried to casually look around. Further off, there was a bed, a storage pot, and a barrel for water. Very simple, just like Konoe's house. Besides that, there wasn't really anything at all. Asato looked away and sat cross-legged, sometimes twitching the tip of his tail. Neither of them spoke. Konoe glanced at him. He couldn't read any emotions from his expressionless face. Before they entered Kira, Asato had been filled with murderous intent. His intense gaze was branded into Konoe's mind. But the way he looked now made him seem like an entirely different cat altogether. The awkward silence continued for some time, but his companion didn't say anything. Actually, he seemed a little nervous. Konoe removed his shoes from his weary feet and stretched them out, his lips parted slightly in a sigh. He removed his remaining gauntlet and began to groom. Grooming. After being immersed in his grooming for a while, he suddenly felt a stare. Asato was watching him closely. That look Asato is giving right now. Damn fine look. He also stared back, then started to feel like he had done something wrong. Konoe had asked his question out of reflex. Asato looked puzzled. What? Is he asking if he wants to be groomed? Oh, that's so cute. Asato averted his eyes as if he'd panicked just a little. His tail, thinner than Konoe's tail, beat against the floor restlessly. What? Asato watched Konoe out of the corner of his eyes, but immediately looked away again, then muttered in a soft voice. Oh my god, he's like running away! The sudden question surprised Konoe, but now that he mentioned it, he remembered his hunger. He felt like eating. Squishy, just a little. When Konoe answered, Asato stood up and walked towards the pot. He pulled some food out of the inside and returned. He held out several dried fruits. There were also creams mixed in. Nice, the creams! Asato nodded and looked away. Is he shy? Oh my god, is this guy shy? That's so cute. Konoe thought he was kind of weird. He got a completely different impression from him now than he did when they fought a little while ago. At first glance, Asato was expressionless, but he didn't seem like a cold person. He was kind of awkward? Perhaps he didn't like interacting with others? Oh, that makes him even more adorably cute than he already is. My guess is it's probably because people avoid him, so he actually doesn't have a lot of, he hasn't really interacted with people, so he doesn't have a lot of experience, so he doesn't know what to do now. Now that he actually has someone he can, that he could talk to, but he doesn't know what to say. Konoe reached out a hand to grab a dried kuim and tossed it in his mouth. The strong sour sweetness spread through his mouth, and for some reason he felt a relief sink into the pit of his gut. Finally feeling he could relax, a soft sigh leaked from his lips. Konoe nodded honestly to Asato, who'd asked him hesitantly. Asato finally looked straight at Konoe and his mouth relaxed as if he were relieved. Oh my god, he's so cute! When he smiled, he looked like a child, Konoe thought. While Konoe ate, Asato stood up and returned to offer him water from a small cup. So adorably awkward. Again, there was silence, but it was intense. Like the swaying flame of the lamp, it was a soft silence. After he ate 3 more fruits or so and drank some water, Konoe quietly looked up at Asato. The faint light illuminated his jawline as the flame shook. The pupils of his dark eyes relaxed into wide circles. Aha! Looking up at Konoe from time to time, Asato seemed more like a cornered animal than a cat. His eyes were unexpectedly gentle. The glaring eyes from their first encounter now seemed, imagine, oh my god, too hot. Like, you have the rough hotness right there on the left, and then you have like the sweet, cute hotness on the right. I can't, this guy, oh my god. Ah! That reminded him. Asato must have noticed that the symptoms Konoe was afflicted with were different from the state of the Kiran cats. Plus, the elder practically forced him to take care of Konoe. This must be unpleasant for him.
嫌じゃないのか。何が？
At the returned question, Konoe kept quiet. Konoe hadn't meant to ask, but he carelessly spoke anyway. He didn't like talking about these things, asking his companions how they felt about him. As Asato thought, time seemed to stand still. Konoe couldn't stand it. He wanted to beat his head against the wall, but he held back. Getting neither an affirmative nor a negative, he just didn't know how to handle these sorts of situations. If his companion really hated it, he'd feel like a burden and would feel awkward asking someone to take care of him. He'd rather sleep outside. Asato watched Konoe, not understanding what he meant. Konoe gradually became embarrassed and turned his face away, putting the cup of water aside. He opened his mouth boldly.
長の命令だろ。俺の面倒を見てるのは。本当は嫌だったら悪いと思って。
I don't think he actually minds. His voice trailed off. Asato answered vaguely. It neither confirmed nor denied what he said. Left feeling uneasy, Konoe's toe involuntarily stood stiff. Asato suddenly met his eyes, peering closely at Konoe. Konoe lowered his gaze because he was being stared at.
綺麗な目だ。
Oh my god, this guy!
Huh?
He answered reflexively. What did he say all of a sudden? This came out of nowhere, and he didn't understand what Asato meant.
別にどこにでもいるような色だけど。いや。
I guess the Kiran cats don't have that color? I don't know. Asato shook his head lightly, then looked at Konoe from the corner of his eye. I honestly like Asato's eyes. Dark hair and blue eyes. Very hot.
色じゃない。戦っている時の目が力強くて。
Ah, so that's what he meant. When they fought, he was talking about when they'd first met. He was just desperately trying not to succumb to Asato's bloodthirst.
それに毛並みも鍵尻尾なんだな。
Oh my god, he's completely analyzing Konoe. Ah? Pointing it out made Konoe feel his anger boil. Crooked tail, huh? He felt like Asato was pointing it out just to embarrass him. A crooked tail was by no means attractive. Hey, it can be very attractive.
悪かったな、鍵尻尾で。
At that blunt answer, Asato's ear stood straight.
違う。綺麗だと思って。
See, yes, like I said, it can be very attractive. Konoe didn't really know what Asato meant. Considering it, he looked at his own tail. Konoe tried to wiggle its tip. It was just an ordinary tail, nothing special about it. Instead, it looked scruffy from his tumble earlier. Compared to his, Konoe looked down to Asato's tail. I kept having very dirty thoughts here when they're talking about tails. Even though they were the same jet black, he thought Asato's was more beautiful. Since the fur was shorter than Konoe's, it had a shiny surface and was glossy.
お前の方が綺麗だろ。
Asato looked at Konoe with wide eyes. Konoe had only said what he honestly felt, but when he saw Asato making a face like that, he felt like he'd done something wrong. Konoe hung his head with a sour look. He felt like everything he did and said was strange.
初めてだ。
This guy doesn't get any love from this village. A low mutter broke the awkward silence.
そんなこと言われたのは
Konoe reflexively lifted his face. Asato's face became awkwardly stiff, just like a scolded child who had done something bad. But he didn't look like it was that much of a bad thing, though. Maybe he was just embarrassed. Awkward words. Awkward behavior. Even though he had those frightening eyes when he swung his knife.
変なやつだな。
Konoe muttered without thinking. Let that all sink into you, Konoe, and slowly let him go into your heart. Asato blinked a few times as if he were caught off guard.
変なのか俺はでもお前も変だ絶対変だ
See? You're both weird. Just be together already. Konoe was a little offended by what he said.
お前は俺よりずっと変だろ。
Now we're getting into a weirder competition.
そうなのか
そうだよ。
そうか
Oh, the face he's making! Oh my god!
嘘だよ。
He answered back. Asato's responses were far too honest. It was a little bit funny. He seemed just like a kid, even though his body was big. He is like a child, oh my god. When Konoe laughed softly... Wait, what? When Konoe laughed softly? Yeah, softly. The air around Asato softened slightly.
お前名前はなんて言うんだ
Konoe?
この絵。
この絵
Keep saying it. As if he had given him a delicious candy, Asato mouthed Konoe's name to himself several times. Exactly. Keep saying it. Konoe felt strangely tickled.
この絵
Asato suddenly held out his hand.
直してやる
Fix what?
何が
腕のそれ切ってしまったから俺が
Ah, it's so cute! Konoe realized he was talking about his gauntlet. After removing it from his bag, he handed it to Asato.
できるのか。
できる
Asato held the cloth in his mouth and got up, retrieved something from a shelf, and returned. He wound a thread tightly around a thin, sharpened stone and began to sew the torn part of the gauntlet. Konoe watched in amazement at the unexpectedly delicate way his bony brown fingers moved.
すごいな。
He muttered in admiration, and Asato lowered his eyes as if he were a little embarrassed. After that, he made an apologetic face. What? Why?
あの時は悪かった
Oh, that's why.
侵入者は排除するように言われている
Instantly remembering, Konoe shook his head at the
あ
thought.
あ、わかってる。気にしてない。
そうかよかった
Asato's voice was tinged with relief. The tear on the gauntlet was mended quickly and it was returned to its former state. He gave it back to Konoe.
助かった。
いや
As he put on his gauntlet, he sensed a gaze on him. Asato was staring at the marks on his arm.
聞かないのか。
何を
この体のこと。
Asato averted his eyes and looked puzzled, but nodded slightly.
話したくなければ聞かない話したくなったら教えてくれ
Asato's awkward concern made Konoe feel that his impression of him was steadily changing. In some ways, they were similar, he thought. Probably because of his relief, he couldn't hold back beyond. Remembering his fatigue, he tried to curl up.
少し眠るといい寝床を使え
あんたは
I was about to ask that. What about you?
俺はどこでもいい
Are you sure? You can share a bed. Asato slowly got up and then showed Konoe to the bed. Konoe hesitated for a moment, but couldn't bring himself to decline such a gesture of precious goodwill, and he followed obediently. Asato sat down on the ground and rolled into his back. Konoe took off his coat and carelessly put it somewhere before crawling under the blanket. It felt nice, but it smelled different from his own bed. Not much time had passed since he left Karo. Still, it felt like it had been ages since he'd slept in the warm bed. He realized he was happy with just that much. While purring faintly, Konoe started to nod off into a shallow sleep.
俺は
Half asleep, he heard a muffled voice from beyond his blanket.
お前のことは嫌じゃない。全然。
What's he saying? Because of his sleepiness, he couldn't hear it clearly, but he wagged his tail in response. He then fell into more peaceful sleep than he had in a while. Well, any sleep would be very peaceful, actually. At that time, they were unaware of what was happening in Kita. Kill him, kill him? They heard voices. Kill him, kill him! The voices descended on all the cats of Kita, whispering softly in their ears. What? You saw him. Those were the signs of the curse. Can't we just let him run loose? Shouldn't we run him out of the village? He's no good. He's probably up to something. That guy, what if he's a Meiji cat? If we let him go, it'll be the end of us. It began to trigger their destructive emotions. They wouldn't forgive the stranger. It was crucial if they wanted to protect the pride of the Kita village. They had to expel him now, obliterate into darkness anything that threatened Kita. Anyone who threatened Kita, no matter who, no matter how many. Get rid of them. Kill him, expel him. The whisper stirred the hearts of the cats in Kita. Red flames rose inside their chests, the voices rose from there as well. Their pupils narrowed and deep growls escaped from their throats. Why is this happening? A shadowy figure stood in the center of the fog-shrouded village of Kita. The shadow was clad in flames. The black heat waves bordered in red, swayed and rose into the air. The shadow's crimson hair billowed and he smiled in amusement. Who is this guy? His slightly parted lips spun the words.
コノエ。起きろ、コノエ。
Hearing someone call his name roused Konoe from his sleep. Through his blurred vision, he saw Asato's face. He slowly raised his body using his elbows. Coming out of an extremely deep sleep, his mind was in a daze.
逃げるぞ。
逃げる?
He was surprised to hear something like that so suddenly, but Asato's face was completely serious.
いいから早くしろ。
Suddenly, his ears picked up the sound of something rustling outside Asato's home. Konoe tried to listen carefully. There appeared to be several cats surrounding them. What's going on?
説明している暇はない。
Konoe crawled out from under the blanket and stood up to dress, then slung his bag over his shoulder. Asato seemed to be ready to go. Konoe grasped the doorknob, their breaths caught, and he threw the door open. The base of his tail shivered and stood on end. It was dark outside and several cats stood there shrouded in the darkness. They had Asato's home surrounded. Konoe felt their terrible bloodthirst. Okay, well, he's not hot. He's not either, and now that I notice, they all have white hair. No wonder Asato's a weirdo in this village. But that's what makes him hotter. Their curses were directed at Konoe. He regarded the cats before him in disbelief. They certainly had not welcomed him, but he didn't think they would turn on him like this. Perhaps they had learned about his detestable body during the night. After all, he didn't look normal. What? Even the old man? The elder stepped out into the lead and pointed out pointed at Konoe as he yelled in a loud voice. When Konoe saw the elder, he was shocked into speechlessness. Why did the chieftain think that? Had it been a trap? It couldn't be true. He never thought that there were false words exchanged between them. Confused, Konoe looked up at Asato. Asato stared intently at the Kirin cats with a solemn face.
何が起こってるんだ
Explain.
わからない。
Asato slowly shook his head. In the meantime, the cats of Kita raised their voices and growled, seemingly ready to pounce at any moment.
アサトよ、そいつを殺せ。貴様もキラの猫の端くれなら。そうだ、少しは役に立ったらどうだ。
Asato? Konoe couldn't believe what he was hearing. At the same time, the Kirin cats turned their bloodthirst from Konoe to Asato. Asato's face stiffened and he merely looked straight ahead. All the while, a black flame smoldered in the eyes of the Kirin cats. It was coming. Konoe could feel it instinctively. He couldn't control it. His heart began to beat profusely. His bad premonition became worse. For an instant, a serpent flashed to his mind, a red snake. He felt something wriggle in the depths of his stomach.
このままじゃ追い詰められる。走るぞ。
And I have to leave this episode here. Things are getting pretty serious. I don't know what happened to them, but hopefully we'll find out next time what this curse is and what they did exactly to these cats to make them so bloodthirsty. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye!